let me try to get everything in order here so it kind of also makes sense on the video. Otherwise, I start often end up rambling about different things. So now is the question, where did I put this page? So yeah, in general, I watched a video you recently did, right? I kind of tried to follow it as much as I could or so to go through everything. And I kind of like try to follow the documentation we have available for Snowplow. And what I noticed is, can we use this tracking event very often, or this tracking element or so from tracking.js, which kind of like encapsulates a lot of Snowplow. So most of the things that the Snowplow documentation has that we refer to does not seem to work. So there's kind of like a little bit of a disconnect for me.
Yeah.
I might be doing something wrong. I'm not sure.
I just sent you a link. I'm not sure which documentation link you're looking at, but this link that I've added here is one which is in the process of being merged in. I wrote everything up in a wiki, and then it's just much easier to use wikis. And then I'm throwing it all into an MR, and then it should land on the actual docs.gitlab.com pages.
I love wikis. I love wikis. It's good. Okay. I think that looks very similar to what I found, right?
Perfect. Okay.
And this is tracking with view components. So maybe I just start sharing my screen quickly. So where's this? Tracking and analytics. Oh, there's my page, right? So just start sharing my screen, and then maybe all makes sense.
Okay.
Cool. So that's kind of me trying to kind of keep notes of a few of the things that were mentioned in the video, and for me to kind of go through all the documentation. So I think I stumbled over the wiki telemetry that you just linked to me. I think that was helpful regarding like the implementation in some parts.
Yeah.
There was the event exploration board where I ended up in the tracking guide. Right, that's the other one I tried to follow.
Yeah, that would be the older one.
Right, okay, maybe I took it from here actually, right. So, and the interesting part is here, what I found was this tracking element that we're using for many things. And I looked at tracking.js, and this is like just a small wrapper or a few things like event and this kind of things. So there was one thing I was looking into was this page view. So let's switch over to Donald or talk with him. Right, that was the link he gave me. When I tried to use, okay, can we manually call the track page view thing from Snowplow? That was what I'm trying to go for. But I didn't find anything in our docs to be able to use it, and I also didn't find another way for us to be supposedly kind of how this should work or so. So what I ended up doing is, okay, I tried to hunt this down. Eventually I went to tracking.js, and right, we have this tracking class somewhere, event handler, right, the tracking class, where we allow, okay, to call custom events, and that's what our documentation is referring to. And there's a bunch of other things. And then I found the only way where we actually call it is the Snowplow track page view. So I cannot call this directly because I don't seem to have access to the Snowplow event or so on my pages for some reason. So what I tried to do is put in just a static method in here that would just call the Snowplow track page view. But that's not working. I think I have the node for this one, yeah, here. I just used it just before. I tried to put it in here. Okay. Weird formatting from Notion, so let's see, okay. So I tried to call this one just to kind of call a general personal track page view event or so, but that also didn't work. So let me move this bar here. So what it ended up was doing this here, or that's the thing basically we had, right? And we talked about it briefly in our MR.
And this is the custom one.
That's the custom one where I call the custom event. I give it a name that I now have in the constants, which is like this project issues design, what our documentation recommends. So I took it from Rails, what it generates.
Yeah.
and gave it this name, design viewed, and for the label, because I don't know which one is used afterwards in Periscope. But that one, yeah, I think like the Snowplow debugger is kind of like buggy to a certain degree, because it does not give me like consistent events or so if it's working or not. I sometimes see it popping up, then I see like super old events popping up. So it's kind of weird. And so my question, I guess, is this the right way of doing it? Because like otherwise tracking the page view does not seem to work properly. And if that's like just a wrong usage of it in general.
I would, can you show me the front end side where you're like the actual page which you're trying to implement the tracking on?
Sure, absolutely. So that's the page in this design tab on an issue.
Okay.
I uploaded 2 images. The
Okay.
image upload is kind of like broken in the local development for whatever reason. And what should happen is, so I use the Snowplow debugger here. And what should happen when I click on it, it should fire the custom event now. So what you see, it's like just populating with a ton of events. I was now able like to hunt it back that it's like, okay, they're actually unrelated to big degree. Like they're older from 40 minutes or like way older actually. So it's not showing me the latest events actually, which is super, super weird.
See.
They're from an older, no wait, that's the 30s. Constantly reduce things. So.
Have you tried the
page
other
ping.
Chrome extension?
This one, the Snowplow.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you seeing the same?
That's an excellent question. Let's see, I did not heavily use it. So let's clear events. And now should, yeah, not sure. It should fire least event even on the pagination.
Yeah.
Which it does not.
It looks like you're getting warnings or.
Right. Yeah, get some Snowplow analytics. Not sure if I got them the last time. Was it /admin? I would hope that it's like still enabled. Snowplow, yeah, it's enabled. Okay, right, because I send it to some kind of like event that's not there, just like there's no collector. But at least I was hoping for that I would see the events correctly.
You should still see the events fire even if they're not sent to a real collector, right?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like super weird.
One other thing you could do is you might be able to just add like console log statements into the tracking JS. Just so
I
that you
can put them here, yeah. That's why I think that's what I had initially, like to give it a try. Track. So app updating, recompiling, 1 second. I think it reloads automatically. Yeah. Cool. So now when I click on it, it should show tracking or track. And if I click on this one, it should show track again, which it does not. Okay, that might be a mistake. But yeah, I still don't see my custom event popping up anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I feel like Snowplow, like you say, you click on clear events, but it like always keeps the one stored like from days ago as well,
Yeah,
somewhere in your cache of the browser. and then just like reloads them. Once you do get a new event, it like gives you all the old events again.
Yeah, that's not very useful.
Sadly, not. So yeah, that's basically, okay, now get. I mean, that's not even my time, so I'm kind of like super confused now.
And you've done ascending or descending to see if there's, well, actually there's, what's the time on that right side?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering as well right now. Page URL, that's, I guess that's my local time on my machine.
That looks like it.
But otherwise, like it's the same time for events that were fired like 3 days ago. So that's also a weird time. Yeah. not sure what this time tells me.
Yeah, that is confusing.
Okay. So Snowplow debugger, what if I kind of like deactivate this one for now? That should be done. Okay, let's give it another try. Okay, I also like get all the events. I mean, maybe they're less.
Can you click into, just click into any of them and see if they're relevant? Okay, the time zone seems correct. Design management show, is that one which?
It's no longer called this way, so they should have like a new name by now, which is like the one in constants, which should be now like project issues design.
Is design management show anywhere in the code base?
That was in the code base. No,
okay.
it should be no more.
Could this be something to do with compiling the JavaScript assets? Like a hot reload sort of issue?
We can give it another shot. I mean, I feel like I nervously reload my page anyway, all a few seconds. Okay. So we get this track event.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. Some show, page view, page view. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Device creates temp. Yeah.
In the current Chrome extension, at least from what I can see, it looks like the timestamps are all correct and the events. My assumption would be that there are actually that many events that are firing right now, which is quite a bit. So we definitely need to do a little bit of cleanup there.
But those events should not be fired, so I'm not sure where this comes from. And I'm pretty sure when I first started, the Snowplow plugin were definitely less events. So what I'd be curious, what if I, let's create a new tab. So, okay. So I mean, okay, take me there. So there should be, okay. Extensions, no. Which one was it? Snowplow, Snowplow. This one, details. Allow an incognito. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Go back to the other. Was it this one? Yeah. So that's a completely fresh incognito tab that should not have any history or whatnot. So let's close it. Let's open it. Cool.
Okay. That's much cleaner.
That's much cleaner. So that more looks like it. So that was apparently the event that it fired the first time loading the page.
Yeah.
Then that might be on the new event.
That structured event is named correctly now, right?
But that one is actually working now.
Okay.
All right. And here you see like it's just like starting to populate it again and again. And I feel like just the extensions are kind of like borked. Because like they now start to accumulate. So if I kind of like close it, I guess reload the page. The next time I will just see all these events again. But let's clear events. And now they're kind of all here again, or some of them are here again, the one you had first.
Yeah, this is just the cache really building and building.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah, which is not a great Chrome extension.
Yeah, maybe we need to roll our own.
Write our own Chrome extension. Well, I mean, I think what you've done here, if you close this incognito tab, it clears the cache, right? And then you can open it again and then see the most recent events. So it could be that we need to just enable this Chrome extension inside Incognito and work off of a fresh window every time, or a fresh browser every time.
Yeah, I think, okay, that's a good finding that we should totally write down to say, okay, there's like a lot of issue with this extension that it works to work in the Incognito tabs to see some kind of events or the latest events happening.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
That's good. Progress.
That's true.
But this doesn't answer your custom versus page view question, right?
That's true. That's true. And I wonder, like, I don't mind doing this. I was just like, because Donald told me, hey, you could use like a page view event. So I said, okay, it maybe makes sense to trigger page view, and I will just check in the next one or so how to kind of trigger it on the page switch as well. But does it make sense to use like page view over custom? Or do we say, no, we just use page view for the programmatic approach it does right now whenever tracking is loaded on the page, which is fine. And then we say we're just going to use custom events.
Yeah, so that was one of the questions which Donald had for me last Friday when we hosted a telemetry instrumentation Q&A session of whether we have global tracking enabled and what is enabled. So if you switched back over to tracking.js, I think inside there you saw that the page view was automatically loaded once the Snowplow.js is loaded, which means that the page views should be tracked automatically. Now, I'm not sure whether this applies to all of the tracking methods right now, whether it be in Haml, Vue, or in just raw JavaScript, if it's all calling the same tracking.js and it's all being loaded. That's something that telemetry team is looking into inside 13.0 just to get some consistency there, especially with Vue, for instance. Having things loading on different event hooks is difficult. But I guess to answer your question here, or to talk about your next steps here, of do you even care for having page view event, or can you just use a custom event, right?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with using the custom one. For me, the important part is I afterwards want to have like data that I can track in Periscope.
Mhm.
So when I have a table, that just gives me a number to say, okay, like how many page views or how many kind of people call and looked at a design in full screen, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at. If I use a custom event, that's for me like super fine, because I want to use like custom events on more things, like where say, like who clicked on kind of closing a comment, resolving a comment, this kind of things, like a lot of things that how people interact with in the UI that I cannot get out of the Rails backend data or usage ping right now. This is the valuable information we care for. So the custom events seem like the right thing. And we can try to create a nomenclature that is hierarchical correct, where we say, okay, it's like, it's all design colon something and follows a similar approach. Makes sense. Yeah. And here the special trick is like, because we're using like view router, right? So that if you hit the page directly, you potentially would see the page on Rails or the URL on Rails, because that's the one you call. But in this case, actually, if I click on it on the client side, I change the URL in the history stack. And this does not seem to call like the page view event or anything. So we use like the view router here, what could be an extra little challenge regarding page views, because they don't seem to be tracked.
Yeah, that's definitely a big challenge where it loads on a cold load, but not on after view router takes over, then the page view events stop firing. That could be happening. Yeah, I think what you're pointing out here are all sort of things which we need to work on. We've opened up an issue called standardized snowplow schema. And part of that is just to define what attributes are used, but also to define which events to use. If page view, I think for the use case that you described where someone's clicking on an image and that image generates a new URL, which is loaded in the browser. If page view event works fine, then I think page view would track that, right? Because you'd just be able to basically write a regex when you're trying to build a funnel or just a regex by URLs, right? If you want to track clicks, like for instance, who closes a modal, that's where a custom event or maybe a click event might make more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you pointed out that we need to standardize it. So I'll link over to that issue and maybe you can follow it and provide some of your feedback as well as we start to standardize it. Because I think what you've shown today is a really good sort of case or example of this.
Okay, sure. So for me, progressing now, does this mean I should just wait for what the team says regarding page view and the standardization?
No, I think you can progress. You can use a custom event.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Then I'll do that for now. That works.
What might happen in the future is after we've all settled on how we want to standardize things, we'll do a cleanup across the code base. That may change the ability to track data because it'll be really hard to tie your custom events to page views if it gets converted over. But that will sort of set us up well for the future.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Cool.
Great. Does that sort of solve or answer the things you were dealing with?
I would say so, yeah. I would say so. Like I now know, okay, I learned something about the debugger. I know I'm not crazy, okay? It's like really, the debugger is kind of odd, which is nice. And the other thing is regarding the events or so to kind of make sense this way. But if you're working on the docs and everything, or so, I think that's super awesome. And please feel free to pull me in on anything, because I'm super excited about more tracking capabilities and how we can make it all work in our code and so.
Yeah, that sounds good. Our team hasn't had much time at all to look at Snowplow yet. But I see us making a big investment in Snowplow going forward because it allows us to track so much more, especially front end.
Yeah. I would totally love to use it. I'm kind of like is a little cooler than usage ping. Needs less
Yeah.
database stuff.
Yeah. Well, what gets really interesting is when we can leverage Snowplow on self-managed instances. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you saw that diagram in the slides, but we're trying to put a Snowplow collector inside a self-managed instance. So front-end events get sent back into the instance, gets written to Postgres, and then we can surface it via usage ping.
Right.
That's our big challenge for Q2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like also a way or so that users could just say, similar to say like, do you want to opt in and kind of helping GitLab making a better product? And they say yes. And in this case, Snowplow data will just like go to their own warehouse, but it also goes like to the GitLab one as well.
It sort of splits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something
Maybe
that
that
we
would be
could
less
look at.
hacky. Yeah.
Yeah. The only issue is, well, one would be just dealing with firewalls if the events are being fired from the backend, because we have Snowplow Ruby on the backend that still need to find a way to get out of their VPC. Front end is fine though. Most browsers you should be able to, unless you're on some sort of intranet that restricts it. And then the other one is just sensitivity of what's being tracked. If namespaces or project names are being leaked, then that's something that I don't think users will want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kind of to anonymize a lot of these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. That said, our current state is in our documentation that you can set up your Snowplow tracker. And I think we already have users that are sending their events over to our Snowplow tracker, just because of some confusion in the documentation.
Great.
They
That's how
send
you
it
do
to
it.
our endpoint. Yeah.
That's how you confuse the user until they do the right thing that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Sounds great. Well, then thank you, Jerome, for taking the time. It was very helpful.
No problem. Thank you for raising this.
My pleasure. Then I'll continue on this and I'll see you next week. I hope you have a long weekend in front of you.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
actually be taking vacation next week, so I'm off.
All week?
All week. I could use a break, even though I'll still be in quarantine.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a break. I can totally hear you.
But
Awesome.
Ali, if you have any more issues, just reach out on Telemetry, and Alino or Alper will jump on and try to help you.
Perfect. Cool. Sounds good.
Thanks, Roman.
Then
Bye.
you have a good day. Talk soon. Bye.